Coaching Soccer Weekly, episode 392. Indoor Season Preview. Entertaining, educational, and inspiring soccer content to help make you a more effective coach, player, or soccer parent. Hello and welcome back to Coaching Soccer Weekly, presented by World Class Coaching. My name is Sagar Brabinovich, and this is the podcast devoted to bringing you cutting-edge methods, techniques, and tactics for coaching soccer. It doesn't matter if you're an experienced coach who has been working with teams for many years, or if you're new to coaching and working with a team for the very first time. There's something we can all do to take our coaching to the next level. Well, this past weekend, our 2014s played and our 2013s played. We did win both games, which, as you know from listening to me, isn't that big of a deal. It was more about how we played. The teams that we played against, they were pretty weak, I would say. Not saying that disrespectfully, but in our 2013, we had, I think, 68% possession. And then with the 2014s, we had 56% possession. We didn't concede a goal with the 2014s. Our goalkeeper did really well. And then for our 2013s, our goalkeeper didn't show up. So our 2014 goalkeeper stayed. And then, all of the shots that were high kind of went over his head. But he played really well. And I'll talk a little bit about kind of each team throughout the show today. I was very impressed with our 2013s. I thought overall we played okay. It's hard to say because the team that we played against, they didn't keep possession at all. They would just look to kick the ball up or just go 1v1 through the whole team. There wasn't really a style of play. There wasn't really anything. It was just kind of go play. And that, to me, made the game really easy for us, I think. We controlled the game, both age groups. We got to the point with the 2014s that I started forcing them to switch the ball 3 times before we attacked, simply because I felt bad. It was a friendly game and we were up, I think, 5-0 at that point. And once you get to 4 or 5, and you can just kind of tell, there's no use of just scoring more. So that's really why I did what I did. And I think that's a really important thing that, people should be aware of, especially going into a friendly, you want them to have fun. You want both teams to do well at that point. The second game with our 2013s was really interesting from a scores point of view. I think we ended up winning like 8-6. Again, goals that were scored on was our 2014 goalkeeper. He played fantastic with his feet. It was just the shots he couldn't handle, which makes sense. He did make a couple of great saves, but when you're shooting over someone's head, there's really not much you can do at that age. So overall, a really great weekend. Introduction of some new players and things like that, which again I'll talk about later on in the episode. But I thought it was a really weird day from a weather point of view. Started cold, then got warm, and that's just kind of how Toronto is. But again, a really good end to the outdoor season. And now we're really into the indoor season. There's a lot of changes from the moves that we're working on to the way that we train. Just a lot of things that are coming up that I'm really excited to talk about. Won't be today. I'll talk about the sessions. I'll talk about those coming up probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But I'm excited for that. So let's start talking about the indoor season because our first game is this weekend and things are changing. When I first started with this league, so the way Toronto works is there are different districts, as there are everywhere. We are part of one of the smallest districts in Ontario, which is the province that I'm in. And historically, we've been one of the weakest districts in Ontario. We were part of the North York district. It's the smallest, and because of that, there just aren't as many teams, and as a result, the level isn't that high. Since then, lots of things have changed. We've merged for the outdoor season with the Toronto District School Board in Scarborough. I'm sure everyone knows about Toronto. Scarborough is also pretty good. So those districts that come together it creates a really competitive, very tough outdoor league. Now, indoor, everyone goes back to their own district. So for indoor, we're playing back in the North York district, and it'll just be us against North York teams. Now, what's changed over the years is that there have been certain teams that through indoor have decided to come into our district and play in the North York district, even though they don't belong in the North York district. And those are good teams. There's some really, really quality teams that are in there. So this season is probably going to be the toughest season that we have from an academy point of view. Our first game with this weekend with our 2013s is probably going to be our toughest game of the season, if I'm being honest. It's one of the better teams, and it's just going to be like that. I look at the schedule and I see good team after good team after good team. So it's going to be really interesting. Starting with our U9s, I'm going to go through each team. And I think this is really important. And I urge you to do this with your teams at the beginning of every season. Really reflect on the team. So let's start. I'll kind of go through each team and you'll be able to kind of see how I analyze and kind of what I look for as well. And hopefully you can apply that to your teams. Throughout the academy, we have a lot of really good players and players that I'm very proud of their development. This winter, we're going to take things in a little bit of a different direction. In the past, we've really been about the 1v1s everywhere. I want my players, no matter where they are, to have the confidence to take the ball and beat players. And we've been in situations where the goalkeeper would pass to the defender and the defender would, do a move, lose the ball, and we'd get scored on. And I was okay with that. We've kind of changed our approach a little bit, not in a way that I think hinders the development of the players, but increases the awareness of where they are on the field. For us, the new idea is, can we look to get up the field as quick as possible? Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean just kick the ball up. We want our players to advance in our half. If we have space, they should dribble and then look to find passing lanes to get that ball into the other team's half. And once we're in the other team's half, then we're looking at attacking while we have space or attacking in 1v1s. Those are really the two situations. Now for us, 1v1s, we consider an overload in the other team's half because I want that to be something that the players go after, right? So I feel that with all the 1v1 training that we do, if we're in their half, I will take our players 1v1 every time in their half. With that, there's going to be a little bit of adjustment with a lot of our teams who haven't been playing that. They haven't really been with the attitude of pass first in our half, pass first in our third, right? It's just been, what do you see? Do you see a player in front of you? Go for it. No worries, right? You have two ways to get around that player, 1v1, or you can pass for a give and go, right? That's really been the attitude, but it's going to shift this year. Now, that's going to be a transition that's going to be easier, I think, for certain teams and tougher for other teams. With the U9s, that's the age group that has a lot of really different personalities. We have the personalities of our 2015s that have played in the summer with our 2014s. And that team has some players that are really pass first mentality and players that are 1v1 first mentality. And what's interesting is that we've spent a lot of time trying to get the extremes of both of those players to kind of become a little bit more balanced. So for those players that are pass first, they do a lot more 1v1s in our practice. And for the ones that are 1v1 first, we get them very involved in our tactical component of the practice. But for some reason, they are just the way they are at this age. And I think it has to do with confidence. And that to me is a little frustrating. It's frustrating when a player doesn't have the confidence to go 1v1. So for us, there are certain players on the field in that U9 age group that even if they're playing defense and they do a move and they lose the ball right in front of our goal, I will not say a word, because I cannot afford to take them into that more extreme portion of, pass first. I can't have that. At U9, that is not the focus. If a player comes in with a pass first mentality, that's just an issue. Now, the opposite, we have a lot of on that team. We have those players that are just 1v1s, and those are wingers and forwards. And those players, we can kind of give them those options a little bit more. We can talk a little bit. Okay, fantastic. You've beaten 4 players and scored. Great. But was there anyone open? Right? Those types of conversations. And those conversations are conversations that we will have on Zoom. Now, that 2015 team, which is our U9, is now, there are 2016s coming into it, because I never want to go through what I went through at the beginning, which was starting from scratch. So half of that team has already played with our 2014s, and now we're bringing in a new half to come in with players that have already played at a high level, and I think that's going to balance some things out. So we have some new 2015s, some new 2016s. What we don't really have on this team is defenders and a goalkeeper. And that's really going to be, in my opinion, what causes probably some basketball score lines. We have fantastic attackers. So that team, games, I think, are going to go just really, really high score lines. For us, the big focus with that team is going to be defense. As soon as we lose the ball, can we press, and can everyone get behind that ball? So that, to me, that's our U9s. Our U14s is a very different situation. In my opinion, we have some of the strongest back line that we have within the academy. And that's mainly because of our goalkeeper. Our 2014 goalkeeper is so good with his feet. He's so good with his feet that when he played in that 2013 game this past weekend, nothing fazed him. Now, he got scored on because he was facing shots that were just way too high. He's short, especially playing a year up. So he got scored on because of those. But whenever the ball came to him, he was composed. And he's really starting to understand a very important concept from a goalkeeper's point of view, which is when you receive that ball, if you have space, hold the ball. Attract someone. And when you attract someone, then wherever that player is coming from, our teammate is going to be open on that side. So if a forward, because usually it's a 3v1 in the back, if a forward comes in and attacks us, then either we switch that ball or our defender should support and that ball goes right back to him, and now that player has space. So he's really understanding that part of the game. Now, also on that team happens to be one of our center midfielders who's been there for probably one of the longest periods of time. And he is just a magician with the ball. He is fantastic from everything. He's one of the most balanced players that we have. He'll do and beat players. He'll make incredible through ball passes. He'll control and calm the game down. So from a control point of view, in my opinion, the 2014 team will have the most control between our goalkeeper, our center midfield, and then the rest of that team. We're really going to be able to control the game. And that was evident throughout the whole summer with those two players being there. On top of that, we've added some really good players onto that team. Unfortunately, what's also happened is throughout the summer, our 2015s were the ones playing attack. So we don't really have a number 9 for that team. So that's going to be something. A lot of the midfielders are really going to have to take ownership of beating players 1v1 and finding a way to score. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how we score within that team. Our 2013s and our 2012s are probably in the same position. They've been training together for most of their youth soccer career, and a lot of the games that they have are very similar. A lot of the issues that they have, those are really consistent between both of them. And it's funny I say consistent because these two teams, that's their issue, consistency. We'll have some games where we play some of the best teams and we will play phenomenal. We will keep possession, move the ball really well. We'll battle really hard. And then we'll have games where we play against teams that we should really destroy and just nothing really goes. So for me, this winter, that's going to be the big objective, to really get consistency out of this team. Both teams are 2012s and our 2013s. Now, it really doesn't help that our first game with our 2013s is against one of the best teams in the league. So that's going to be, again, from the beginning, we really have to consistency all the way. Now, when I look at that 2012 team, again, it's that same thing. Now, we're going to be playing a team that historically has had two types. They've had really bad teams. They've had really good teams. So I'm really kind of excited to see who we play against in that first week. But consistency is really what we're going to have to work on. Our 2011 team is our U13 team, 2011s. And this is going to be the first year that they alone are going to be playing in a league that has scores and standings. Last year in indoor, we joined with the 2010 team. So they've had experiences with that, but they've never been a 2011 team by themselves that have scores and standings. The big issue with that team is goalkeeping. We lost our goalkeeper, and our goalkeeper was really good. With that goalkeeper, I think we could have done really, really well. But the problem is the way that we play needs a good goalkeeper. If I look at the success of all of our teams, the teams that are the most successful are the teams with the goalkeepers that have done the best, simply because we use our goalkeeper so much that our goalkeeper is such an essential part of that team, of our academy. So when I look at that 2011 team, the players on that team are fantastic. We have some really, really amazing players, and I think we have a really, really good team. But it's going to be really tough to win because any mistake in the back is a goal. And whenever you have that issue, it's a big problem. And we don't have any goalkeepers that can just come in and just play that. What I might consider is putting our 2012 goalkeeper there. But for some reason, the U12 to U13 is a really big jump. So we'll see how that goes. But that's one thing that I'm considering to really help that team start to do well. Now, our U14s are again in a really interesting situation because last year the 2011 goalkeeper was their goalkeeper. This is their first year with a 2010 goalkeeper. And we've added some big, strong, fast players to that team, which is not our identity at all. Historically, we don't have big, strong players. We just have very skillful players. And those players come all shapes, all sizes, all speeds. So to have these big, strong, fast players, I've never had that before. Now, it's going to be really interesting to see how they do. The other big issue with the 2010 team is consistency. Having players show up to all the games. That's a problem we've had with the 2010. So not having all the players show up. So we can have really good players, and we do, but if they all don't come to the games, then that's an issue. But if they do show up to all the games, I think that team could do really well. Now, there are some really good teams in both the U13 and the U14 age group. So we're playing, I think, in the U14, we're playing last year's indoor champions first. So we'll see how that goes. I think overall going into this indoor season, the focus is really changing. It's a lot more a Manchester City, Barcelona type of attitude that allows for a lot of 1v1 creativity. And I think what we're going to start seeing is a lot more possession-based stats on our VO. And the VO does a really great job because it tells you your possession percentage. So now we can really start to analyze that. And what I'm scared of is that we go down the rabbit hole of having too much possession and it not leading anywhere. So while we are a possession-based team, the 1v1s are still a huge part of what we do. And I always want my players to look for those ways to attack. So the idea is to, building out of the back in our half, be that Manchester City type team where, we're looking at one touch, two touch, holding possession, turning, those types of things. And then when we get into the other team's half, then we're looking at really creative 1v1s and lots of shots and just really creating good opportunities for ourselves. Thanks for listening to another episode of Coaching Soccer Weekly. I've been talking about some exciting news for a very long time, and I can finally share it. It's been in the works for a very, very long time. But I want to actually start with my trip to Kansas. When I went to Kansas and I met Tom, I had a conversation with him about the show and kind of the direction and really what I saw for the future, and just really wanted his blessing. I'm so thankful for him for what he taught me through the 5 years that he was running the show. It was a really great platform for me to start my coaching journey, and I really wanted to honor that. Even though he let me take over the show and do whatever I wanted with it, it was something that was very important to me, was to honor that legacy and to really try and keep it as he had started it, which was really just a coaching show, sharing my experiences, sharing all the research and all the methodologies and everything that I'm doing. And I'm very proud that I was able to honor that. Now, all that was made possible because Tom, let it go and gave it to someone else. And now it's my turn. It's been 2.5 years, and I'm very thankful to have been a part of this. And after talking to Tom, I think it's the right time to step away and let someone else take over the show. Now, don't freak out. I'm not done. I remember when Tom made the announcement, I was in shock. So don't freak out. I'm not done. I'm going to be doing a brand new show. It's going to be called Soccer Coaching Mastermind. The first episode is already up. I'll leave the description in the show notes, but you can search it up on iTunes. You can search it up on Spotify, and just make sure to subscribe. And then it'll be the same thing every week. I'll put a show, but I'm going to be able to change it a little bit. I can kind of try my own thing now, which I'm really excited about. Now, as I mentioned, I would love for someone to continue and take this over. I think it would be really cool if it was someone that didn't live in Canada or wasn't in Ontario, maybe in Canada, but just a different perspective from somewhere else around the world. I think that would be really cool. There aren't that many of these out there. There aren't many coaching soccer podcasts out there. There are lots of soccer podcasts, but nothing that's specifically for coaching. So if there's a coach out there that wants to do this and take this over, please reach out to me. You can reach out to me by email. You can reach out to me by Facebook, any way that Instagram, whatever works best. Just send me a message and I can connect you with the right people to get you into this. I want to end by saying thank you so much. It's been an amazing ride, and all the support and all the people that have emailed me and the Facebook group that we created. It's just been so much fun, and I'm excited to continue that. By no means is this over. I'm really excited for what's next. It will be a completely different show. I'll still be talking about coaching, still be doing that, but I'm going to be adding some really cool elements into that, which, I'm now able to do. So super excited. And as always, I'll be talking about this weekend on episode 2, because my episode 2 will come out next week, and I'll talk about, the weekend games. And I think the next episode, I'm going to be talking a lot about scanning, which I'm learning a lot more about from the Barcelona course that I'm doing. So look out for that. And until I see you in the new podcast for the last time on Coaching Soccer Weekly, enjoy the journey, enjoy the moments, but most importantly, enjoy the game. Coaching Soccer Weekly is a production of World Class Coaching. All rights reserved.
Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end, and you can check out more of our videos right here. And if you haven't done so already, I would really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and the subscribe button.